So welcome everybody. Today is another day of us tasting Perfect Cellar's tasting box with Christopher Delalonde, Master Sommelier. And this time we're talking about noble grapes. The noble grapes, which we still didn't really establish what are the noble grapes, but really it should be Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Riesling, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Pinot Noir. From this selection of 6, we're going to go with 3 of them, which are a Chardonnay from Burgundy, a Sancerre Rouge, which is a Pinot Noir, and a Cabernet Sauvignon from the Western Cape in South Africa. And with that, I pass it on to Chris. Yay.
So the fantastic news is I'm just actually back from Burgundy, like literally a couple of hours ago. Spent 3 days tasting hundreds of wines from the 22 vintages, which was quite dynamic, very intense, obviously, but fantastically impressive in terms of range and quality. So going back in time with 2019, which was another staggering vintage, if not a little bit hot. In general, so you can I mean decipher that from the color, a bit of ripeness through that. That's why you got that sort of golden hint to it, but also a bit of evolution, given that it's one coming from the southern part. So we are in the Mâconnais. Mâcon is an interesting region because it's to start with, it's extremely vast. So therefore you have a plethora of different soil, elevations, style, obviously from the winemaking, different villages. So Mâcon is divided in between 42 villages. So you imagine, the size of what it could be representing, but only 27 can add their name after the name of Mâcon. So Mâcon Milly-Lamartine is one of them. So what does that mean on the quality of the wine? It's basically there's a much more precise sense of place. Milly-Lamartine is quite historic because Mâcon Milly always existed, but in the 19th century, the mayor of Mâcon Milly was a French writer and politician called Lamartine, and so obviously they added after his death his name to the village, just as a little memory of the quality of a man he was. Some of his writing are absolutely outstanding. But then what is also here very important is actually from whom it is made. So the 𝐵ichot family, funny enough, I was actually having dinner there at the estate on Monday night. So understood a bit more the strategy, the sense of quality that those guys are putting into the wine. So what happened is that it was established in 1831 when Albert 𝐵ichot started basically wine business as such. It wasn't really being called otherwise because they would not own the land, they would work the land and basically sell the wine as négociant. So basically buy the grape in, produce wines whatever ways they could, and they knew at the time how to, and then sort of bulk sell it in tank or in barrel throughout France and throughout Europe. And then as time passed, the business grew and the know-how, more importantly, grew. And in 1912, Albert's third generation moved the estate from the Mâconnais to Beaune, which was at the time already sort of the center of attention for Burgundy wines and the sort of place to be with the big names of Burgundy at the time that were starting to emerge, such as the Jadot, the Bouchard, the Dufouleur, and so on.
It still is, isn't it?
It is very much so. Yeah, exactly.
The capital.
Exactly. It's all the négociants, big names négociants, because what we know Burgundy being today, which are grower-led big names such as Domaine Romanée-Conti, Rousseau, Roumier, at this time didn't really exist. Those people didn't really, I mean, they made wine, but they sold wine in bulk, or they didn't bottle. You have to put things in perspective when it comes to bottling. What we're so used to what is written, estate bottled and so on. Up to the beginning of the 20th century, this wasn't done at the estate. The bottling really started at the beginning of the 20th century, and actually enough, it's Baron Philippe de Rothschild that is credited with being one of the first to actually bottle his wines on site. Even though the German would do that much beforehand, but in France it became quite late. So it means that it translates that the estates, the wine estates, would make the wine and then sell it to negociants, which would actually label it and so on in bottle, and then actually go different markets. That's why the big names such as Jadot and Bouchard were the real powerhouse of Burgundy at the time. All the smaller estates didn't really exist. Different names, individual estates didn't really exist, and nor had the power, nor the communication, nor the tools nor the knowledge actually in the will to actually go out and market and then knock on doors saying, "I am producing wine from Gevrey-Chambertin. Are you interested?" So 𝐵ICHOT was one of them as such. So this is 2019, but what I wanted to say is that the real move from the 30s, from the 19th century, then the move to Beaune in 1912, and then the business from Beaune started to really grow, because being located in Beaune, it was basically as a mirror. So instead of being to Jadot or other big names, they would go to 𝐵ICHOT saying, "Well, I've heard you have a good track record, so I would like to sell you my wines. Obviously, it will be a bit more expensive than if I sell them to Jadot. So give me a bit more money, and you can get my wines in." And then the business grew, and the know-how, as I said, really was developed as well. So they had a sort of a quality and good referencing following through. And then Albéric, who is nowadays the sort of CEO / head winemaker / figurehead of the family, is running the business. So it's actually quite a vast business. They have 100 hectares themselves, and then so which means that in Burgundy the average ownership is probably about 15. So it's quite tremendous, especially when you know the price of the land. And then they buy grape from other estates that covers another 250 hectares. So they work with a potential 350 hectares, obviously according to vintages. As we know, 2001 was a difficult vintage when it comes to production and finding fruit. But otherwise, it's quite a large business to run. So what they've done over the years, they actually bought estates from Chablis to Mâcon, and they run it with different brands, even though it's under the umbrella of the Albéric 𝐵ICHOT or 𝐵ICHOT family estates. So the Albéric 𝐵ICHOT Mâcon is sort of the original brand and estate, as I was saying before they moved to Beaune. That's why on the labeling it's still Albéric 𝐵ICHOT. So 99, I was saying, great vintage, fantastic ripeness, and I think we're going to develop that into the wine itself. So again, in terms of the color, you get that aspect of sort of slight like golden color, and therefore that gives you an idea of a bit of evolution. Obviously, it's a 4 years wine, but also of the ripeness, because that will translate. The ripeness will translate into the color within the wine production. So from north to south, eyes, nose, and then palate. So on the nose.
Sorry, I'm always well ahead of you with this one. I just keep drinking immediately.
It's not new. It's not new. Trust me, it's not new. I'm going to shut up now and concentrate on the nose. All right? Are you happy with that?
If you swear too much, I always have to cut them out. It's just like so much work for me.
Don't get me started. So first information is that that sort of stone fruit, that sort of fleshy, ripe characteristic that comes through. You got plums, you got hint of spices, little bit of oak there, sort of a hint of vanilla, gingerbread, which I always like. a bit of mandarin, a bit of sort of ripe peach, a bit of blossom, a bit of lemon as well, lemon skin. But definitely a touch of sort of toast and brioche. And that comes really from the aging and the winemaking, where they use up to about 10% of new oak only. First of all, because oak is extremely expensive, but also because the wines doesn't really need extra new oak, just to add more complexity. The terroir by itself in the Mâcon area, don't forget, we're talking about sort of almost everyday wine compared to rest of Burgundy, given the size of the region, but also the sort of aristocratic, direction. Obviously, the Côte d'Or, so la Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune represent really the king and the queen, and then everything else is regarded as the sort of, poor or poorer side of Burgundy as such. So Louis is definitely open, very generous, very.
I was going to say very enticing. I really enjoy that sort of.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the truth is, nowadays with the price of General Burgundy being so stupid and so high, that they represent great alternatives. When you've got a great winemaker, a great vintage, and top village to come through, you'll have a fantastic time and a fantastic value for money, and that's really what is interesting with this region, nowadays. And on top of that, there's now so much. I mean, global warming brings, quality grapes in general, and also there's so much techniques. People have a massive know-how, so they, to as a winemaker to miss a vintage is actually it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. It still happen, you can make mistake, but nowadays it's much rarer and rarer for winemaker to mess it up as such. So on the palate,
I really love that you're still being professional about this and you spitting. Just how can you do this? It's like 7 o'clock in the evening. Seriously,
man. I tasted, I don't know, probably about 350 wines in 3 days. So trust me, I don't really want to add more alcohol into my body, even though I tasted. But yeah, it's no, I like to keep fresh. So again, the palate follow very much the nose with that, extra ripeness straight away. You've got that forward character and all those fruit, the ripe fruit, the fleshy character. We get the plum, the apple, the pear, the toast, the apple blossom, the orange blossom, a bit of mandarins, maybe some peach there, but definitely some stone fruit, which really, define the palate. Little touch of sweetness, from the ripeness, which makes it even more enticing, a bit more kind of salivating. But also, with ripeness, you need acidity. There's no question about it. Otherwise, it becomes flabby and really, really annoying. And I think that's what again the beauty of that wine is, that you've got that fantastic acid structure through that, through the sort of stone fruit, but even sucking the stone as such, and sort of minerals as well that will sort of lift and drive the palate through that, making the wine super attractive, super enticing is the word, and also super drinkable. The accessibility. The drinkability is rather high. It's a very well put together, simple in a way, but generous and superbly well made. I don't know how much. Well, I don't know. I don't remember. How much do we sell that on a?
I always have my cheat sheet ready, so that's okay. It's $27.95. That's the full price. If somebody buys. Just randomly jumps on Perfect Cellar and buys, and then as we go in memberships, it comes down to $22.36 at the moment. So and it's even cheaper with somebody who bought the box because you get 25% discount. It's actually quite funny you mentioned sweetness there, because every time I think about it, it is a dry wine, obviously. but it does have that sort of a little hint of sweetness, which makes it even more Moorish for me, because and you just don't realize it because of that great balance with acidity and everything else. It actually has that like little tiny hint of sweetness.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, the ripeness of the fruit, the richness from the vintage in general, that translates into that nice, a little bit of sort of sucrosity as such, not really sweetness, but sort of sucrosity that just kind of make a bit more, that add a bit more complexity, a bit more weight, and definitely you know, a salivating aspect, which makes the wine even more, you know, Moorish, as you said, and drinkable.
Every time I taste this wine, it's growing on me, because it's, you know, it's a fairly, you know, it's a friendly option when it comes to finances. And at the end of the day, it's important, and also it just delivers all the time. And then you're probably going to tell me what food shall I have with this?
Definitely, you know, punch above his own weight, I believe. I would say, in terms of delivery, value for money, especially again if you compare with the rest of Burgundy. But more importantly, it's super versatile. You know, you can have that as an aperitif, you know, easily, you know, having a chat and a few peanuts with your friend. You can match it with, you know, complex food, poultry or fish or vegetarian options, you know, risotto, anything. You know, the winter is coming, so you want to do something a little bit more hearty. And if you're a wine drinker, that will, you know, that will work with, you know, a plethora of range of, even a bit some spices. You know, Asian food will work well, you know, Thai food and so on. So I think it's, you know, it ticks so many boxes, and especially for that sort of at that sort of value, and it's there's nothing really that you can, you know, say against the wine. It's you know, just representative archetype of a great Burgundy on the sort of at the sort of lower scale. I think it's a bit harsh, but you know, on the sort of entry level aspect of Burgundy. And also, if you are kind of young, I mean, not young, but not really been exposed to the great wine of Burgundy, it really opens the door to what's next and what's next and what's next. So I think it's a very educative wines, on the top of being friendly, Moorish, and rather delicious.
Yes, I would certainly say if somebody just getting into Burgundies, I wouldn't start spending 50 and 100 pounds on a bottle. I would start with something like this and then see if you like it. But
I mean, the glass itself is rather delicious, but you know, opening a bottle and let it breathe for a couple of hours, give it a chance to really develop in the glass, and over time will definitely give you a you know, a wide range of character, flavor profile, and intensity in the wine. I think that has, because you know, the vintage is so stratospheric that you really have that sort of complexity and layering that doesn't really show in that glass, because the wine, at least from my side, is a bit cold, which I don't mind, even though I'd rather white wine a bit warmer. But exactly that capacity to let you know, as I always say in those tasting, is time for wine is just, you know, is the essence, because very often we open and we expect the wine to sing, and very often it doesn't happen, because they need air. We were very lucky, and on Monday morning, the first tasting was at a great estate, a friend of mine actually, and the last bottle he opened was one of those, you know, super rare, super old, very fine Burgundy. And he said to us, he said, I'm sorry, I should have opened that, you know, 2 hours ago. And obviously he didn't. And the wines took a good 10 minutes to actually start to show. The first flavor profile was very kind of earthy, cellar, sort of, you know, wet earth and sort of plow earth and foresty, and then in 10 minutes the wine started to really grow. The fruit came out, and it was absolutely mind-blowing, fantastic bottle of wine. Let's move on to the second glass of red, shall we? Well, the first glass of red.
the first glass of red, which is the second wine. Yes.
Yeah, that's
and
what
you're
I
not
meant.
even
Okay,
drinking.
that's what
Come
I
on.
meant.
Yes. And it is obviously the Pinot Noir.
Yeah. I mean, look, Sancerre, Sancerre it's just one of those places, you know, it's absolutely mind-blowing. It's an amazing topography. It's an amazing little piece of a village, you know, on the top of the hill. It's absolutely, you know, it's bucolic and absolutely gorgeous. Quite vast. I mean, all together, I think Sancerre appellation is just below 1,000 hectares. So you know, there is wines produced, you know, let's be honest with ourselves. But also what is amazing with Sancerre is that it's actually produced in 3 colors. You know, we know the Sancerre white, you know, most of the Sancerre, the Sancerre is made and drunk in its white color.
I think it's
actually
mostly known for its white wine. At least that's the general idea. If somebody says Sancerre, they're gonna go for the white.
The production is of Sancerre is about 80% white. Yeah, no question about that. There's no question about that. But you also have obviously some red being produced, as well as some rosé. And the rosé wine of Sancerre, I find them quite enticing and very interesting as a sort of option out of the Côte de Provence, because you know, Côte de Provence is dictated by the international market with, you know, very light colored and quite boring in terms of flavor profile, whereas Sancerre has its own identity, made with Pinot Noir, obviously. So you got that beautiful, bright, you know, red fruit, red berries character, and all the soil characteristic of the area, which, you know, brings again that fantastic lift and drive and refreshing. Even though, again, the main issue with Sancerre rosé, if I may say, is that they're not cheap. They're not cheap. Pinot Noir is an expensive variety to work. It's very unforgiving. So unfortunately, that put pressure. So, you know, this is a classic amongst the staple of Perfect Cellar, the Louvergeat wines. So we store there, I think, 2 cuvées of 2 whites, and then the rosé. So again, it's actually quite a good estate. It's 110 hectares. But it's not just a grape variety. They also have wheat. They also have corn. They're very agricultural, and they also are part of a viticulture. Their planting on wine is only 13 hectares, so it's only 10% of the farm that is actually dedicated to vine. And they are in 2 of the closest villages just outside of Sancerre, 𝐵uet and Chavignols. They make the tricolor, interestingly enough. But then, so this Moulin de Vrillières. So in fact, Moulin de Vrillières, what is a moulin? A moulin is a windmill. It's because on the estate there is a very old windmill that used to be that's where they live actually. There used to be the ground where they would produce the flour. Because there's a little bit water, so the wind there's a windmill and also a watermill. And then basically that would help carry on and doing different press and different compression and different flavor, flour as such. Again, you know, quite a nice estate, nice house, and very nice people, Le Louvergeat. So on terms of wine itself, what do we get here? It's ruby red with a sort of ruby rim, slightly moving into garnet. So there is you know, slight evolution there. 2021 vintage. Burgundy was very difficult, and the Loire Valley wasn't really saved either by Mother Nature. A lot of hail and a lot of frost, or a lot of, unfortunately, loss of grape there. But the good thing out of vintage like this is what's left is usually of really high quality, because the vine sort of balance what's left. They really sort of, the vine itself kind of concentrate for on the rest of the fruit that is on the bunches, so you get a really good concentration. And if the weather turn to beautiful weather, then you have beautiful quality fruit. Not much of it, but at least there's a good concentration, and it's exactly what you've got in your glass here. So the color, again, you know, really sort of Pinot Noir style. There's no, you know, there's no BS as you can cut that. You know, it's what you see is what you get. You know what I mean?
You know, people can get away with these things if
You
they're
know,
French. They can
there's no
say
makeup,
things.
there's no, you know, it's just exactly, it's that sort of Pinot Noir with a bit of ripeness, with a beautiful ripeness. There's no weakness, there's no dilution. That's what you are expecting. And from that color, you could be anywhere. You know, you could be New World, you could be Burgundy, you could be anywhere. It doesn't really change. Very attractive. On the nose, again, a definitely sense of ripeness. But to me, again, it's what strikes me the most is the forward aspect of the wine sort of sings. It's just, and even though, like you, I just, you know, cut my bag and then, you know, pour it in my glass about, you know, 3 minutes ago, and straight away, you know, it's all, you know, I'm singing, I want you to drink me, I want to talk to you, you know, this is who I am, this is what I do. So, you know, you got the cherries, you got the red berries, you got a bit of blackberry there.
It's quite classic Pinot Noir nose. Actually.
Yeah. It's touch of concentration with the currant, with the red currant, and potentially a little bit of lingonberries and cranberries there. But definitely classic expression of nice, ripe, and well worked Pinot Noir. It's quite complex, and it's beautiful intensity and depth. There's quite a lot of to say there, and I believe that it's pretty cold, because even though I got it out of the fridge about 2 hours ago, still quite cold. As you can tell, it's quite cold in my flat anyway.
It's probably your flat, because if you took it out for like a couple of hours ago,
no,
then
it's quite cold. Yeah, it's fine. I don't like to live in the sun. You know, I like to live in Arctic. It's good for wines. It conserves the wine better. Maybe it will work on me too. Help me to age wonderfully.
so only 2 words there. Good luck.
Good luck. No, there's 2 words there. They're too late.
Or that, yes. Yeah.
Anyway, let's focus. Yeah, because as you work it out, there's definitely a earthy touch to it. There's floral notes that come through as well, sort of herbal, mineral, bit of spices. They use a bit of oak there, not much. I think it's 10% new oak, and the rest about 50% in very old oak, and the rest in tank. So there's a good, good balance of micro-oxidation, and also, brightness of fruit kept from the tank, where there's no basically, exchange with oxygen as such. Yeah, it's very well knitted. The nose is, it's very sexy, and as it warms up, you really have a lot of flavors coming through. Yeah, stone fruit. Again, it's the cherries, the black cherries, the stone, the flesh. Yeah, let's test that.
Very good tannins. Good, fairly high acidity.
Yes, yeah. It's I mean, it's a Sancerre, okay?
Yes.
When you got that beautiful, frame of tannins that are just powdery, just there to kind of frame the wine, it's a good signature. There's nothing to say. I mean, again, the acidity, the freshness, the ripeness of the fruit. Again, I wouldn't say there is a sweet touch, because it's less than the we get on the 𝐵𝐸𝐿, but there's a sort of a savouriness that almost turned into kind of roasted, the flavor of the roasted meats. That's what I get especially on the finish, because it's quite compact altogether. You got that great aromatic again on the attack and on the mid palate. You've got, you know, beautiful berries, you know, a bit of strawberry, a bit of raspberry, I would say, definitely some cranberries there. But again, you know, a fantastic fresh herbal, almost like sagey, sort of cooking herbs that I get. And then sort of the elevation again from the beautiful weight on the mid palate, and then that beautiful acidity. So it's, you know, again, superbly well knitted, well worked with the oak, a little bit of spices from oak that you get from that sort of vanillin coming through. And then as the wine kind of go through the entire palate, you've got that beautiful tannin structure, just to remind you that it's not just a drink. You know, it has something to say. He wants to say something. And I think more importantly, even though it's 2021 and we are in 23, I think there is potential to sit on that for a few years.
For me, it's I call this crunchy. As a crunchy wine, because it almost like I feel like the cherries or the sour cherry ripening in my mouth. I don't know.
Yeah, no, the crunchiness, I get that. To me, I would have started with sort of a lush, because you got all those sort of, you know, nice kind of unctuous, you know, and so much of it like a tree that is, you know, fully covered, so really lush, but definitely great juice and good, exactly crunchy fruits through that, super fresh. That's why, again, I come back to the conclusion that it's definitely opening and giving a lot today, but I think there's definitely potential for this to be enjoyed in a couple of years without too much of a doubt. Given the ripeness, given the acidity level, the balance, and definitely the tannin structure.
Yeah, I think it's very approachable, very decent. In terms of price point, we're talking about $26.95 in the full price, and the lowest price is $21.56 on this one.
That's
so it between the £22-27 mark where we are.
I mean, again, you know, if we
compare this to Burgundy.
But that's exactly where I was going. I was looking for an introduction. You know, Pinot Noir being the great variety of Burgundy, the king, you know, of the Côte d'Or in a red version, as a great variety, at least. You know, if you trying to find something in the £20 mark in Burgundy at this level is an enormous challenge.
I would almost say it's, well, yes, I don't think it's impossible, but it is a big challenge. I was going to say Beaujolais, but then we're talking about Gamay.
Precisely.
So it's going to be a bit
you would say
different, but that's similar sort of
you would think of Mâcon a little bit like the white, but Mâcon appellation on red is Gamay too. So you can't go in Mâcon for that type of wine. You have to go further up. So again, Rully, Givry, and Mercury. Mercury would be a bit more austere. Montagny, no, because Montagny is an appellation only white. There's no red in Montagny whatsoever. And again, if you go into the Côte de Beaune, some Pernod Vergelès, some Océ-Duresse, some Alos Corton will deliver at this price tag, but you need to dig. Maybe Savigny-les-Beaunes village, maybe we do, and toward the south, definitely Centenay and Montély will definitely offer wine of that stature, but you will not pay £20. You will pay 25, probably. Easy, 25, 28. So I think in terms of value, again, it's really good, and also it's good to get out of you know, oh, I've got a Sancerre. Oh yeah, but Sancerre it's only white. No, it's actually red, and it's actually very good too. You know, so I think it's a nice little option to challenge the palate of anyone with something that has that sort of drinkability. And again, if you open the door to food with that sort of wine, you go anywhere. you think that during the summer, slightly chilled, throughout the day, without problem on the garden, on the terrace, with a plethora of different dishes, that could definitely take some spices without that. And then poultry, because you will not really overpower that sort of white meat. You could go with chunky fish such as monkfish or sea bass, as long as you kind of treat them sort of as a meat, which means that you start them on the pan fried and you finish them in the oven. It's one of those wines that cover a very large spectrum of food and wine matching. And also,
even in the winter, you can go with
in the winter,
something like a bit heavier maybe, but even just charcuterie. And just have it with charcuterie.
Precisely, or anything a bit kind of earthy, such as beetroot, or that sort of flavor profile.
I never thought of beetroot having with wine, but yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
No, but that's it's a bit earthy. That's depending how you treat them again. But that's sort of wine. So it's a sort of versatile all year round. According to what you want to do with it. I mean, obviously during the winter, you don't really want to drink, Cabernet Sauvignon at 14% of alcohol all winter long. You want something sometimes, that's well refreshing, easy. And sometimes you're in the mood to drink something that's got a bit of guts and power. But sometimes you're in the mood something, light and easy and fresh and refreshing and just not too much work, just pleasure, just pleasure.
Yes. Yeah. It's actually 13% alcohol, so it's with global warming, obviously it's not going to be a big deal. And then the wine is in balance, so it's not gonna you don't feel it, but generally tend to be, when you think about Pinot Noir as a grape variety, maybe 10-15 years back, it would have been like 12%, 12.5 maybe. So it wouldn't be as high as it is now, but as I say, I think it's very well in balance, so I don't think it's a problem.
The 22 Burgundy that we tested last couple of days, most of the red, which are in splendid balance, they're 14, 14.2, 14.3. There's nothing really, we haven't tested anything that is sort of below 13.7, 13.8. So,
yes.
It is definitely a footprint from the global warming.
And with this wine, we're obviously not really high in altitude, are we? Because we're close to the river.
No. I mean, Sancerre doesn't culminate. It's not Everest. It culminates, I think, at 350 or 400. And the red, most of the red are planted sort of lower slope or even flatland. So you're not, it's nothing to do with altitude. No, not at all. Now the best terroir white are on the south facing, obviously on the coteau, on the hillside, because that's the most beautiful and the terroir driven and the expensive land and the historic land of this beautiful village of Sancerre. But otherwise, now it's mainly on the flatland, the Pinots. But still, I think it's a cracking wine for what it represents, what it stands for, and a great archetype of what Pinot can deliver, somewhere else, even though it's again French.
Yeah, who would touch it anyway?
Okay, so this is
next wine.
But this is definitely not the least. I mean, it's massive.
It is.
We're changing completely, the orientation. We are with the Cabernet Sauvignon, which is actually not 100%. There is, I think, 15 or 20% of Merlot in there, and you are in South Africa. You are in the Sammonsberg Mountains, on the foothills of the Sammonsberg Mountains, so just off Stellenbosch, Cape Town. Thelema's story is actually not that old. The Maclean family bought the estate in 1983, and then for their daughter, and more importantly for their son-in-law, who was a banker but a wannabe winemaker. and then the story started there. It was very derelict. It was abandoned farm, and then they turned it around, and in 10 years they became one of the flagship great wines from South Africa, and even still today they have that image stuck to them, that the wines are always performing fantastically well. Most of the wines are sold on release, and that's it. There's nothing left. It's just gone. Even if you go to the estates, there's nothing to sell, there's nothing to test. Usually it's one wine. I think it's the Semillon or the Riesling that's left over, a little bit more, but otherwise everything goes. So I was very excited when I saw that on the website of Perfect Cellar. Obviously, I don't especially do the selection as yet. Not that I have much time anyway. But I think it's really, really exciting to have wine like this, because it's completely, again, it's a great asset. They're great wines, nothing to say. But also it's so different to anything that we offer normally within. Like when you think about the two wines we tested, very French, very classic, very oriented, a little bit of a twist between Burgundy and then Pinot Noir from Sancerre. But you've got a sort of big stature of the wine world in South Africa, but with Delalonde. So in 2019, Cabernet Sauvignon. Again, I do not believe this is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. The law in South Africa is a bit more opened, I would say. If you
it's called guidance, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. But I think there is a sort of a maximum. I think if you put Cabernet Sauvignon, it has to be up to about 80, I think minimum 80% of it, or 85% of it. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if my note says how much Cabernet Merlot there is in there. No, it doesn't. Anyway, it's a massive farm. It's 157 hectares. So it's a massive estate. But again, only 45 are planted in vine, and mainly south facing. And why south facing when you're South Africa? Because basically what you want to get is view to the Antarctic, to maintain the freshness, and try to get also a little bit of moisture, because South Africa, even though in 1983 wasn't too much of an issue, but now drought is a big issue in South Africa, and they're very lucky to have this south facing. So they got, they are informed of what they call the Cape Doctor, which is the wind coming from Antarctic. So it's cool wind, so maintain that cool in the vineyard, which is important to maintain the acidity without going too early, too quickly into the overripe. And also they're up to about 500 meters in altitude, so therefore also the altitude help with the high diurnal. So very marginal, no enormous difference the temperature between the day and the night, again to maintain a long ripening season, slow maturity, slow ripeness, and maintain a great acidity in the wines, to maintain that freshness and that drive and that balance at the end of the day. That's what we're looking for. 19 in South Africa, funny enough, is actually quite a tricky vintage. It's a very small harvest for the same reason that we talked about with 21 in Chablis and in Burgundy. It's nothing to do with ale or frost. It's just the fact that it's cooler than normal all of a sudden, and then you have a crop that really struggle, and therefore you have to cut a lot to concentrate your yielding in order to get something that is at the end really, really good. But you have to make some sacrifice in terms of production in order to achieve your goals, as usually it's the case. On the color, straight away, you see the difference with the previous wine. It's really dark. The core is super intense. You can't see through. It's opaque, and you definitely have that sort of purple, purpley, ruby red on the edge. So a lot of youth there. And then if you play with your glass, around the wall, the wine around the wall of your glass, the glass gets stained, so there's a massive concentration there. You realize that, at least just on the side. So you expect a big baby, that's, I think, what we should say. Then on the nose, again, here, it's so typical, because the first thing that comes to mind when I put my nose in is it's kind of herbal. It's kind of almost minty, basil, and then a little bit of gunpowder, which is classic South Africa. To me, it's classic South Africa, the gunpowder. And then it starts. Yeah, the blackberry, the chunky, the chocolate, the ripe character, a little bit of jam, maybe blue plum jam.
Chocolate and coffee for me.
Yeah, mocha, definitely. Spices from oak. The oak usage here is a bit higher than what we talked about early on. For the two first one is 35% of new oak. So that definitely have that footprint, but also Cabernet Sauvignon has a tendency to absorb a bit more the flavor of the oak, which are usually sort of cinnamon, cloves, and vanilla. Basically, that's how you could translate it or coconut if it's really extreme. But the first three one, the cloves, and you find that cinnamon, cloves, and vanilla throughout the nose of this wine, that definitely relate to the winemaking choices, as well as the aging in oak. And smoky black fruit, definitely currant, tar, touch of earthy notes as well, a bit of forest floor. Definitely, the herbal character doesn't go anywhere. Got that sort of minty basil.
Mint, yes, definitely.
And more you add air, and more you have a sort of a stony minerality, a bit of kind of a plow earth.
Already on the nose, I obviously tasted it, but already on the nose, it gives you the idea that it's going to be a top quality, serious wine. I think it's
definitely. It's definitely one of those wines that you can qualify as serious.
It's complex. It's big. It's it's a lot going on.
It's quite very layered yet, and yes, it's definitely a lot to be deciphered in that glass of wine. And again, from a bottle, you decant that, large glasses, you pour a little bit, and then you go through the different pattern, 3, 4, 5 different glasses, and then you will have a different expression every time as the wine warms up, opens up, absorbs the oxygen, breaks down the flavor profile, and that's very educative wine when it comes to the new world characteristic, that body, but it's so well made. It's so well made. Nose is so classy.
I have a question, Chris. Last time we talked about on the last tasting, we talked about wines, which you sort of sit down and think about by the fireplace, sort of thing. Would this qualify to something like that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the philosophic type of wine that you want to exactly just take your time sipping them with a nice book and a bit of heat, raw heat from the fireplace.
Obviously, you can't rush it because it's 14.5% ABV, so it's going to be, you can't just knock it down.
You can't rush that. You shouldn't rush that anyway. But again, on both sides, it's the sort of wine that you can buy now and drink. With a bit of decanting and especially sort of seasonality, again, strong flavors, powerful flavor, earthy flavor, wintry flavors, and so on. But also it's a sort of wine that you can buy a case of 6 or 12 and then drink once a year for the next 10 years without doubt. Without doubt, that will age beautifully, gracefully, as long as it's obviously kept properly. But that has, I think it's not the sort of sipping wine. It's not, if it's sort of wine that you're looking for, the Pinot Noir, Sancerre, fit that bill. This is more, not a serious dinner, but you want to, have great food and great wine and have a conversation about it. And that's the sort of wine that would go into that sort of box, if I may say. On the palate. Wow, what a beast! You know, it's rich. There's nothing to say. It's rich. It's intense. It has even more fruit on the palate that there is on the nose that I can tell. You know, blackberries, cherries, currant. Definitely a savoriness touch. Cured meat. I would almost go like grilled meat character. Touch of mineralities, like, you know, whetstone from that acidity, a bit of, you know, powdery tannins as well. You know, tar, definitely tar is coming through. Leather, chocolate, flower, spices from oak, definitely. You know, you got this the oak treatment coming through again with the sort of vanillin. And to me, the vanillin is that sort of sweet character. There is, again, a touch of sweetness to me, some sucrosity, and that's definitely the vanillin aspect, the sort of cinnamon, even the licorice, that's even more so how I would decipher. But obviously, you know, it's the ripe character, is the generosity of the Cellar vintage, is the generosity of the Cabernet Sauvignon being super ripe. And I can tell, even though I don't know from my notes, but there is to me, there's a rubber character on the palate, and that is for me Merlot. Usually, ripe Merlot goes into that rubber, so that's why I'm pretty sure there is at least 15% of Merlot in there. But that's just based on my palate. I don't actually know, because it's not in my notes, which is actually quite funny. Maybe it's not written anywhere on the informations I got from them. But what the lengths, you know, what the lengths, you know, the Cabernet Sauvignon footprint when you do blind testing is it's capsicum, you know, it's capsicum, because you have always this kind of stocky character from Cabernet Sauvignon, sort of a green tinge, and also cassis, you know, blackcurrant is really what it is, blackcurrant, crème de cassis, and so on. And the lengths on that one is those two aspects. You've got that sort of green aspect from the capsicum, and definitely we call that pyrazine sometimes. And then you also have that sort of sweet cassis, you know, blackcurrant coming through. It's just, yeah, it's just really, really, really sexy.
And with food, I know you are the master sommelier, but I'm gonna tell this one, because I don't just have a food option for this, actually. I have a lifestyle option for you. So what it means is you sitting on a beach in South Africa, open fire, and then you grilling meat. That's what I was going to go for. What do you think? But imagine that sort of like sitting on the beach set as well. It's not just the grilled meat. It's just that, like, you have to have the whole experience to enjoy this.
Yeah, my only concern, if you're on the beach in South Africa, it's already 25 degrees, and then you put a fire.
No, sorry, it's evening time, because then it's more visual as well, when you know, a big bonfire burning and you're grilling.
Exactly, yeah. night time, and then obviously you don't go in the water because it's full of sharks.
And it's really cold as well, apparently.
yeah. The Bengala current is actually quite cold. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's also what cools down all the area.
But this is my thing with wine. It's just like, because people always say like, yeah, it goes with like red meat. Yeah, of course it goes with red meat. Lots of things goes with red meat. But I think the whole idea, the whole aspect of it is just like this sort of lifestyle moment. It's like a silly American movie where you have these teenagers. Obviously they don't have money for this, but they're drinking canned beer instead. But when you're sitting down in, you know, South African beach in the evening, and then bonfire is going, and then you're grilling meat there, and that's sort of the whole lifestyle.
It could be, you know, you could be in the Loire Valley with your camper van sitting in the middle of nowhere, you know, and then putting a fire on. Obviously, the landowner has agreed on that, and you control your fire, and a, you know, nice piece of meat that you grill on the top of that fire, and then having a glass of this. But obviously, in the Loire, you won't drink South African wine. Trust me.
Yeah. So sorry, Chris. Again, there's a massive problem there, because with this image is that what you're missing from this whole thing, because it's a many dimensions here. So what's missing is the roar of the ocean coming out all the time. So that, you see, because obviously you don't get that in France, can you? Like at least not in the Loire. So
okay.
Okay, sorry, I stopped
Katie,
here.
I just want to highlight something. This wasn't scripted. Okay, so you know, I didn't plan for him to talk about that, even though I don't agree, but it's fine. You know, he can have his views. But no, but yeah, I mean, I agree on the fact that you take a bottle of wine and you get a picture out of where and how it would suit the moment, and I would completely agree with you. Yeah, completely agree with you on that sort of cool night. It could be summer time, but it could be definitely a cool night, and then you got that bonfire exactly, and then you grill, and then and the wine will warm you up as much as the fire will do. You know what I mean? Yeah, I agree. And the flavor, the sort of char grilled flavor onto the meat, whatever it is, will definitely suit the wines as well, because you got that sort of tonality, especially toward the end of the palate, sort of, you know, beautiful energy, beautiful power, but all those complexity, fantastic tannin structure, and then, you know, it finish again, tar, chocolate, char grill, a bit of cassis again in the fruits. It's very kind of primary flavor profile, but what a wine, what a wine.
And with that said, next week I'm enrolling to Master Sommelier course. That's it.
Definitely, to me, more wintry wines. You want the weather to be cooler, to help with that sort of, you know, texture, structure, and alcohol level. And definitely some food. I don't think it's not that. It's definitely food friendly. It's not aperitif friendly, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
It wouldn't be the first. It wouldn't be that bottle that you open for an aperitif. I think it would be just a bit too demanding.
Well, unless you're going off from here to port after that, because then
yeah, you pass by a Mâconnais,
yeah,
and then you finish in port, and then you finish in bed. That's basically the 3 steps.
Or just to go with my analogy, you finish on the beach. You know.
Here we go again.
Anyway, I have so many things to cut out from this. It's unbelievable. Anyway,
yeah, no, I agree.
I'm making myself so much work for tomorrow. Anyway, okay. And Chris, what was the wine of the night for you?
The next one.
The next one. Okay. Okay. Yes, after all those wines you tasted last week,
my palate
my
palate is tired. Trust me, my palate is tired. No, to be honest with you, to be honest with you, I'm a bit Pinot Noir fan, obviously. So the Pinot really and the Sancerre really changed it's sort of, you know, the sort of, you know, approachability and drinkability. But I have to say, in an evening like this, I go probably toward the Cabernet. The Telema really deliver another layer, and it's really beautiful and quite full on. So much to say, and so I like the Cabernet. And you, Shaba?
It's really tricky. I think it's a very good box actually, because it had 3 very good wines in there, which sort of
very different.
Yeah, very different, and they ticked most boxes what I want in wines. Obviously, but like it's impossible in 3 wines. But if I have to choose 3 wines, it was like actually it's a very good selection of 3 different styles and 3 different types of wine, and I don't know. I mean, I should open a bottle of each and find out by the end of the evening.
Ask your wife; she'll tell you.
I think I have a different result there. But, yeah, no. I think I really love the. I don't know. It's tricky. It is tricky. I really love the Mâconnais. I think it's a good wine, but the 2 reds are equally great. And you know, just for tonight, I would probably go with the Telema.
Yeah, no,
because of maybe the weather, maybe something
as well as
cool. But, and I think I didn't tell the price on the Telema. It's $29.95, so still below £30.
That's a bargain.
That's the full price. If you buy it in the Cellar Master price, it's $23.96. It's less than £24. I think it's a lot of value there.
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of money there. Yeah, it's a lot of wine for
lot of wine for the money. Yeah.
8:30, an hour and a half. I can't bloody shut up, man. You know, it's 10.
Guys, thank you very much, and thank you, Chris, for your time again.
Pleasure.
And
good to see you.
We'll see you on the next one, which is going to be in November at some point. So the last Wednesday of November, when we do this. And then there's another one in December, which we just established is going to be on the 20th of December. But next one is going to be very big, classic, serious Bordeaux wines. And yeah, Chris will talk us through. Sorry?
In a surprise. I thought you were saying in a surprise.
No.
No?
No surprise there. That's fine. That's fine. Brilliant, guys. Thank you very much for your time, and
Cool.
hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, see you on the next one, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
All the best. Thanks very much. Good night.